Couple of administrative remarks first. Everybody that's a volunteer here really ought to be proud.
Thank you.
This is it's my second time here, and I think it's pretty neat. For the Wild Bulls, thank you for that plaque. I have a lot of plaques at home. That is by far the best one I've got. A couple of years ago, I set out to write my flying memoirs. I never kept a log like he did, but it was all up here, and I set out to write my memoirs, basically for family, friends, etc. No intent to ever publish them. I have given copies to a few friends, a few of the guys I used to fly with, and that's probably the way I will keep it. My memoirs are, well, number one, it's things that struck me at the time as either being funny or sad or for various reasons stuck in my brain. There were some that I couldn't put in there. Of course, you know, ladies were gonna read it. But, and some of the things were kind of sad in there. And then I tried to get a bunch of humor. And I thought for this group I would keep it kind of light. And I'm gonna take two pieces of it. One from the time when I flew the F-8 and one from the time when I was flying A-7s with these guys, kind of fit them together. You know, you can talk about airplanes and the skill that it maybe takes to fly them and the technical aspects of the systems in the airplane. This is more about the analog computers that sit in the cockpit, you know, the pilots. Over in the Philippines, we used to always go in for Liberty to QB Point, Subic Bay. Big base around a bay. One side was almost predominantly all what we call black shoes. Okay, in the old time Navy, aviators wore brown shoes, surface officers and enlisted wore black shoes, and never the two come together, okay? Nowadays, we're politically correct and everybody wears black shoes, but they still refer to the surface people as black shoes. So one side of the base is black shoes, all the surface ships, and around way on the other side of the base is the airfield and all the aviators, and the carrier would tie up over there. There were two officers' clubs. One on the Navy side, or the Flyers side of the base, which was called QB Point, and there are a lot of stories written about that place. Another officers' club on the other side of the base, called the Subic Bay Officers Club. Mostly the black shoes go in there, and it's usually pretty quiet and a nice, dignified, refined sort of place. On my first tour over there, flying the F-8, of course we spent a number of evenings in the QB Point Officers Club, and one night we just decided, let's go to the club on the other side of the bay. Here they got good food, we'll see what happens. So we went over there, we sat down, had a very nice dinner. We started drinking Mateus wine. It's a rosé wine, it comes in a funny looking bottle. Our boss just had this thing for Mateus, and the whole rest of the crew, we had never seen a bottle of wine we didn't like, so it went along pretty well. Every time the waiters would come up and try to remove the empty bottles, the boss would say, no, you can't take those bottles. They're much too good to throw in the trash. We'll take care of them. So the pile of Mateus bottles got bigger and bigger. When it was time to leave the club, we walked out the front door and we must have had about a dozen or more bottles of Mateus. We walk out the front door of the club and I don't know where they came from, but magically, here's 2 shovels. And we go out in the front lawn of the club and we excavated a burial site, about 3 feet wide by 4 feet long and several feet deep. And we had a little ceremony out there, and we started lowering the bottles into the grave. From across the bay, you could hear taps being played. About the time we were getting the last shovelfuls of dirt on top of the Mateus bottles, the club manager comes out through the front door, and he is not happy. And he said, "What ship are you men from?" And one of the guys just magically, and I don't know how he knew this, but he came up with the name of one of the Oilers tied up right down the front. He said, "We're from that Oiler down there." And so he had the right name. In the meantime, we hailed a couple taxis and we beat feet to the other side because they'll never find us amongst all the drunken aviators over there. So that was my first time in the Subic O Club. The second time was with some of these gentlemen here. 6 years later, I'm flying the A7, and again, I have no idea why we went over there. I don't think we ate dinner. I think we were just there to drink and kind of annoy the Black Shoes. We were doing a hell of a job of both. Somewhere in the ancient annals of traditions for aviators, there's got to be this tradition of combat aviators coming back and consuming copious quantities of brandy and other spirits, and then the brandy glass must be thrown in the fireplace. This is not the tropics, but we're not very far north. There's no damn fireplace. So we push tables aside, and any reasonable naval aviator can see that corner over there is a fireplace. And we start throwing glasses into the corner. Crash, crash, and there's this growing pile of glass shards. And this Black Shoe captain, 4 big gold stripes on both shoulders, comes over. He says, "You men are a disgrace." He said, "In my 30 years in the Navy, I've never seen anything like this." Our air intelligence officer, who was a brand new lieutenant junior grade, I think he'd been in the Navy a year and a half, he jumps in and he says, "By God, you're right, Captain. My year and a half, I've never seen anything like this." Thank God the captain kind of ignored him. And he said, then the captain continues and he says, "You know, I can send you men back where you came from." Well, that was the wrong thing to say. Air intelligence says, "Hear that, guys? We're going home." So again, the captain ignores him. And anyway, the captain goes on and he says, "I don't want to hear one more glass break in here."
Crash.
And he kind of turns and he heads for the door to the dining room. And for about 5 seconds, it was just deathly quiet in the bar. And then all of a sudden you heard crash. And he starts to turn around, and then I guess he figured he knew a losing battle when he saw one, and he just went on into the dining room. And the moral of the story is, naval aviators rule.